Hello, Powerhouse Smart friends and colleagues. We're here again at another episode of my beloved Powerhouse Cool Collabs podcast. I put this podcast together because I realize how fortunate I am to live this rich life with amazing individuals who I get to sometimes see often, sometimes now and then, and how amazing it would be to share my network with all of you. So there's three pillars. One is I look for leaders that I feel are super cool, like our guest today. Number two, they live with an attitude of gratitude, so important in our lifetime. And three, they believe in helping humanity and giving back. And so our guest today is a very, very a longtime friend of mine. I never say old, a longtime friend of mine who is so perfect under those three pillars. So I always let my guests introduce themselves. So I'm so excited for you all to meet Mary Pat Wallace. Mary Pat, take the microphone. Welcome.
Hi, Wendy. Yeah, that was quite the introduction. So great job.
Well,
And
thank
I
you.
love one of the things that you just said is about sharing your connections. So something that someone said to me early on in my career, and you have built yours on it, is when you look at your professional life, look at your relationship equity. Who are the people that you have found you align yourself with, to your point, with how to do business, how to handle problems, support each other, and the fact that you're willing to share those people you've built those relationships with over the years with others. I hope everybody knows that means the door is open. So because of the internet, if someone ever has a question for me that they're like, oh, I wonder if she could answer this, or she's had this experience, the answer is yes. That's why Wendy reaches out, because I do think it is about sharing what we've done, what we've learned, and hopefully too, by meeting more people, it can help us on the journey of where we're going next.
Absolutely, which is why when I thought of you and I said, "Oh my God, Barry Pat has to be my next guest," I thought back to how we met, and we were both on the board of Designs for Dignity. And I sat next to you at one of our board meetings, and immediately I'm like, "Ah, our souls clicked. We are right on the same page." And then since then, we've had a lot of opportunities for me to learn more about your business and for us to collaborate. So you are the perfect guest. With that said, I
At least for today, I am.
for today for sure. And so I love your story too. And so the fact that you are open-minded, that is huge, and that is what we're all here. You know, we have this one lifetime to really make an impact. And I loved everything you said. But start back with how you got into the industry, and then I can ask more questions about where you are now, because that is going to be super interesting to everyone in our audience. Please.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So, Wendy, that it's interesting. It's when people say, when did you really get into the business? So as a young child, like literally in that 8, 9, 10 year range, I was the kid that would close my bedroom door and rearrange my furniture 4 different times before it was the way, and I would do it by myself. And I'm not a very big person.
No.
So it was one of those things that, like, it was environments, especially when they felt good. I think people feel better about themselves, they're more optimistic, and it's not always about the size of the space, it's just about how the space serves you, and it's a very personal feeling.
Yes.
So I knew I always wanted to go into the design business. So my first entree was with a design firm in Chicago at the time called Blotter Schiff. So Joan Blotter had designed hotels for a friend of my parents, and thus ended up helping us with a home we had bought when I was in high school. So I had that introduction into the merchandise mart. And while I was in high school in the summers, I would jump on the train and go down and work for Joan and Janet. And at that time, Janet was sort of the newbie. It was Joan Blotter Interiors, and her daughter was coming into it. So that's where it all got started. And Joan being the quintessential English high-end residential designer, who was actually, the first time I entered into her home, that's when I really discovered how designers many of them prefer to live very simply because of all the projects that they do are complicated and can sometimes have so many specifications that when they get home, they want it clean and simple. And that was Joan. Like, she was a minimalist. And I was surprised because of all the projects we worked on the first time I was in her apartment. I was like, oh, this doesn't make sense to me. But the more I got to know her, I'm like, it does. So
Sure.
that's where it started. And then after I finished university, I worked in Italy for a couple of years, always loved design, Italian design, and had the opportunity to do that. And when I came back, there were not a lot of choices. It was, I wanted to work for Steelcase or Herman Miller, but I was that in between, too young, not trained by IBM on the sales side. They were looking for a very different salesperson. So I went to the high-end residential showrooms. So I went to Barbara Perlman, I went to Peg Callard of Callard and Osgood, and I went to Holly Hunt and a couple of others. So I got job offers from everybody. and I'm not just, I think they needed somebody in the showroom. But the interesting thing was I had a family friend and he said to me, go with this Holly Hunt lady. And because I didn't know they were all good offers. So I went with Holly, and one of the interesting parts was she had a gentleman who was doing contract design, like calling on the Genslers and the Perkins and Wills. And so I was very interested in the commercial side as well as the residential. So that's what got it started. So working for Holly in the early days was great because she is that entrepreneur who allows people, if you have a good idea, to do it. And if you make a mistake, you minimize it. But she always was very open about, what do you want to try? And I think between working for a woman who had 3 kids, who was dynamic and a good communicator about business in general, I think it helped everybody who worked there. And still to this day, is someone I reach out to when I have a question. So you talk about like mentors in business, and through, again, just like all of our businesses, her business had gone through great change over the 30 plus years, right? And so that was what the launch was. And I went from Holly's to being on my own. So at 28 was when I started my independent rep business. But I think to get forward to today, which is being in this luxury mattress place of wellness, sleep, happened because I had 2 young kids, an independent rep group, and sleep was a premium. And I didn't realize it, like a lot of parents, until you get to that stage where you have a couple of sick kids, you're up all night, and you have to be at work, and you have to be your best. And that's at the moment that you realize, you know what? If I'm not getting any sleep, I'm not good to anybody. And it was it just aligned with an accident of a friend who introduced me to Hästens beds. And that just opened up, you sometimes don't know why things come into your life. In fact, this was a great line from Holly. And I want to share it with everybody because this goes back a long time ago. There was one of my colleagues when we were all working at Holly's who was like just struggling a little bit with, and I think she was turning 30 and she was just a little frustrated with stuff. And Holly, we were all together as a small group. And Holly said, here's what you have to remember. When a door closes, pay attention because a pair of French doors will open. And her comment just about like, that's just like, there are going to be days or weeks or whatever where things are just not going to be working out very well. But if you're open to newness and change and what could be coming your way, then you know when to walk through that next set of doors. And I thought it was just, that has happened so many times. Just like I had no idea 20 years ago I would be where I am today based on opening that first Hästens store in Chicago. And it all started because being a tired working mom. So like you just never, I think that's the beauty. And your career has taken, like, it started with the luxury, right?
Mhm.
Concept of bringing us all together for networking. And
Right.
then it evolved like past that. And
Yeah.
so I think that's sort of the beauty of having good mentors and people around you to say when things get tough, because what are they? I think most small businesses close within 5 or 7. They don't last long. And it
Right.
does take that attitude of, even if things are not going well, like you do, it's your attitude on how to address it and how to make the pivot and reaching out to people when you need help.
Yeah. So if I can summarize where I see what you've shared and what I know about you and what I see is, you took what was something that was in your life ailing and you were so ahead of your time. Like health and wellness is like, and a lot of people are like, hello, and you were talking about this, what, how many years ago? And you were solving problems in your own life and wanting to share those solutions with everyone else. But you kept your mind open and you kept pivoting and changing. And the growth of what you've done with the luxury bed collection is fabulous. And not only that, you have a heart, and so you're always looking for ways where you can mentor and share with other people in that collaboration. So that's the solution, or not the solution, kind of the secret sauce of what makes you so special, Mary Pat, and why I'm so blessed to have you in my life. And so awesome, awesome, awesome. So a couple quick questions. I get all that. So you started in this health and wellness. You slept in a Heston bed for the first time, is that right?
When I was in Sweden, we went to see the factory and meet the family and understand, why are these beds so different? And that's exactly, someone will say, you know, how can it really be that different? And that's like the biggest challenge for something like this. You're not going to know till you come in and lay on it. But I can tell you it was that different. And I honestly, you can look at the materials. You could see springs, you could see cotton, you can see wool, you could see horsetail, you could see the basics. But it's almost like a chef. The way they put those materials together, the way they've learned how to build mattresses, they don't feel like anybody else.
Yeah,
So it really comes down to, and that my husband and I got on those beds and it was like, everybody in the world should be sleeping on these. It was
that's
that
right.
big of a difference.
Oh my God. So I love that. So you experienced it yourself and you said this is a real thing. I can easily share this with other people. And so those stories, they must be great ways those testimonials, right? To like keep those and let people know. And of course, I always love how you're always using those beds in your marketing. Get in bed with me. It's always so sweet. But you know what? I know that this is the way that we can share this with everybody here today. If you have not, health and wellness, sleep is such a big part of your life. I love that you tell that story. How many hours? Go ahead, share with that
You
story.
spend a third of your life in bed.
I
So
love.
it's just, you know, I could say, Wendy, it happens maybe more at a certain stage in your life, right? Maybe it's when you become that young parent, but you look at the things in your home that we all buy.
Mhm.
What are the things that we are actually using 8 hours a day that can make the biggest difference in how happy you are, how you look, how you feel, than a good night's sleep. So
Yeah.
a lot of people, we spend, like, someone asked me once if there were 3 things in your life that you would hold on to, and the world could take everything else away. Now, beside your friends and family, like, we're not going there, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, it would be my mattress, because if I'm sleeping, I can have the worst day, but I can handle it, right? My
Yeah.
phone, because I'm a communicator, I was born to do that.
Yeah.
And I do love good coffee, so it would be my espresso machine. The rest of it, you could take everything else, I'd be good.
It's so true. It's so true. And I used to, when I was a custom home builder, I remember people would like kind of just put the closet over here. And I'm like, no, every morning you should wake up and have this beautiful space and have your coffee maker right there and a refrigerator for your orange juice if you want. And you should just relish and how much time do you spend but your bed is even more so. So it's perfect. It's perfect. I love this whole story. So health and wellness and mental health and all of that is so on everybody's mind today. I want everyone who's watching this to find a way to get to one of your three showrooms and experience what these beds are, and then share that wealth of knowledge, that golden nugget, with everyone you know. And I know I happen to have a daughter who has two young children. We talk every single day, and the first thing I say is, how did you sleep? It's like so important. So do they make baby mattresses, by the way?
So not at the moment,
Okay.
because the crib mattresses, as you can imagine, in the US have a lot of regulations around them.
Okay.
So currently, neither Vispring or Hästens, but there is a brand I say to people called Naturepedic that makes a all-natural crib mattress. And I'm a firm believer in natural materials and not going with foam, latex types of materials that have outgassing. We spend a third of our life in there. You should be in natural materials. They also breathe better, right? So like a lot of people complain about sleeping hot. And then a lot of the manufacturers add things like more chemicals, cooling gel and stuff like that. The best is like, keep it natural. Natural materials breathe. It's like our best cotton shirts and our best wool suits. They breathe and you can wear them all seasons. So I'm a big proponent of natural materials.
That's actually a beautiful baby gift to give, right? I mean, you're really being very conscientious, and that the gift is going to live on forever. So one of the things we can't not talk about today, of course, is the three showrooms and how you expanded. So to share with everyone, because I know you're a Chicago girl, you talked about growing up and going to the mart at a young age and whatnot. So tell us how you moved from Chicago and what's happening in all three of your locations.
Yep. So in Chicago, we started 20 years ago on Wells Street at 440 North Wells. And 2 years ago, we actually moved to 120 West Hubbard. So now we're on the corner of LaSalle and Hubbard. And it's a bigger space with a luxurious layout, lots of opportunity for people to go in, turn the lights down, take a nap if needed, super cozy. And we have all the models from both Vispring and Hästens in one space. So it allows someone to really have that great experience. And Chicago still to this day does better than all the locations. And I think after 20 years, Wendy, again, you talk about reputation, customer service, follow-up, and that's what's allowed the luxury bed collection going from Hästens to Chicago luxury beds to the luxury bed collection. It's allowed it to grow is because of the team I've had in place. Many people know Henry Bianchi, who's been with me for 17, could be 18 years now. I think it was just 18, apologies.
That's okay.
And the team that has supported all of our customers for 20 years. So that's made a big difference. And then Dallas was an opportunity. The two people that had opened the Hästens store in Dallas, probably, I think it was like 2007, maybe 6, 7, they were retiring. And Hästens called to ask us if we'd be interested in going to Dallas. So we went down there, evaluated the market, and decided to do Dallas luxury beds. So we opened that in 2018. And then and it was an interesting market, right? Like there were people moving to Texas. I had gone to school at TCU. I knew the Fort Worth, Dallas area and had some relationships down there, plus know the design industry. So it was sort of an easy transition. And then in 2021, so just a little less than a year after COVID hit, I opened in Naples, and it didn't have anything to do with COVID. It really had to do with the fact that so many people from the Midwest and Chicago and the designers that I worked with, we were shipping beds there because clients from Chicago had homes there. So we figured this would be a good market. They had like a city mattress, but they really didn't have any other options. So we opened in February of 2021. and also is the luxury bed collection with both brands. And that's also been a good market. It's a good feed. Clientele is very similar. And yeah, we've outside
Yeah.
of Hurricane Ian, it's been good.
Yeah, yeah, no, I know, but very supportive and a huge design community, and a lot of the, like you said, a lot of the reputation from the Midwest goes right there. So we're thrilled to partner with you with the Powerhouse Smart Luxury Conference in Naples. So those are the three locations. I'm going to have all the links and everything, and how you can reach Mary Pat. And of course, she opened this conversation with the fact that she's available. Of course, she has a beautiful team. If for some reason she can't talk to you at the moment, and they're all just like her, very much accommodating, and they want to customize and answer your questions. So that's perfect. And they're just wonderful human beings, just like Mary Pat, right? The birds of the feather flock together. And I want to say that part of the, the Powerhouse Cool Collabs podcast was that, we see ourselves, you, Mary Pat, for sure, and our community as really, being catalyst to help other people, and to synergize, and not always looking out what's in it for me. And I know you do that every day. So share with me a little bit about what you're doing for Designs for Dignity now. And then unfortunately, this goes so fast. I could talk to you for much longer, but I want to kind of keep to the commutability. Yep. Yeah, but go ahead. I love Designs for Dignity. That's how we met. Share with me. You're giving back to help humanity with Designs for Dignity, and you've been doing it for a long time. What's happening?
So D for D, actually, I think it's important to how I got into it, right? So both Hunter Kaiser, who is a designer, was local in Chicago, has moved to the Southeast since, was doing the design work for me for Chicago Luxury Beds and then the Luxury Bed Collection. So he was helping with our showroom layout, accessorizing, all of those things. We had an amazing relationship that lasted for a long time. And Hunter was very involved with Designs for Dignity. And he and Diane Falanga one day came and kidnapped me out of my store. And they said, we really want to show you live what we're doing versus just, coming to events. So they took me to a project. And I think that was the moment, that was the turning point. Because I think for most of us, it's one thing to write a check. It's another to actually see what happens with that money. And so taking that pause, and I would encourage anybody who is supporting any non-for-profit to actually do that. The value of getting involved, whether it's working on a project or serving food with a greater food depository, like getting involved is what really teaches you how different, like the impact that organization is making. So seeing this non-for-profit, it was a transgender, it was therapy, a safe house, it was a place up in Rogers Park, and it was not large, but it was a smaller building. It had community spaces, kitchen, living, it had therapy rooms, and it had rooms that you could stay at because people were in transition. And it was clean and it was bright. And it not only, when we think about it, served all the people that needed a safe place to be while they healed and recovered, but for all the people that work there. Like, yeah, when you think about what those social workers do, what the therapists do, like they typically go into environments that, because many non-for-profits are way underfunded, they're not healing environments. So being able to do this, to me, to your point, you said earlier, Wendy, you've been in luxury private home construction, and like we've been blessed to see like what a difference good design, light, like all of that color can do. And these places do not, like, because they're focused on taking care of people, not the space, right? So by having D for D, be able to go in there and do that, and the responses we've gotten, right, both from the people that work there and who they're helping. And then you think about that one person, and if they were able to then go from that home to get a job and being independent, it affected not just that one person that they healed, but their family, their friends, everybody they touched. It just, the numbers are multiplied. So I think that, I know that's why I got involved. with D4D, I think at more than 10, maybe close to 15 years ago. We
Yeah.
lose track of time, like when the days just go by. But that to me has been like a big core, because we're blessed. You want other people to have that environment too.
Yeah. The ripple effect is amazing. I get people who went to the palliative care center. The D4D did all the custom build out and design, and it was just. And they say to me, Wendy, I saw the D4D plaque, and I remember you invited me to a Design Certificate Gala, and I see the work that you did. Wow! And so that, like you said, and I think I was just on their website showing somebody this morning 290 projects, over 800,000 people impacted. So beautiful. So Mary Pat is the current incoming president of Designs for Dignity. It's a volunteer position. We both have been on the volunteer board. What I love best about easily telling people about D4D is there's only 2 staff members, and we could have more for sure. Could use more.
Doing growing. We've done a 2030 strategic growth plan. More to come.
Okay, good, good. And so much of your money goes directly to the work. And Designs for Dignity has been a benefactor of my Chicago my luxury conferences since the inception. This year, the whole Afterglow cocktail party and luxury raffle is all about D4D and expanding. So I know you're going to be a sponsor. You'll be there. You have a raffle donation. But so Mary Pat is always giving back in so many ways. Even if you're a client, that she's able to help get a better night's sleep or improve your health, or just a collaborator or a mentor and helping other people in the industry. Final question, Mary Pat, how would you define a well-lived life?
So Wendy, you know what? It's like me suggesting a mattress for somebody. I can't really do it, right? It's subjective. So, for me personally, a well-lived life really has to do with your relationships. I think that's sort of one of the things why I'm here on this planet. I find interest in what everybody does, genuinely. I love being with my friends and my family. I love cooking for them. I love the nurturing part. And so that to me is my balance, right? That combined with, I do love to be outside in nature, and I love to exercise. So those things give me the energy, and that's my why. But I think to most people, sometimes this word balance is a different meaning for different people. And I read something interesting today where it wasn't today, sorry, it was within the last week, and it had to do with defining balance. And the person that wrote this put it perfectly, because they said for some people who really love what they do, right, their work, that is their balance. And that's okay. So it shouldn't be judged, right? So I think that's the thing, the beauty of a well-lived life is what is that for you? And hopefully people are able to find that at some point. Maybe when we're younger, it kind of goes all over the place. But as you get a little bit older, you start to understand your priorities and what really feeds you. So
that's right. And living that life where you surround yourself with people you love every day, and you love what you do, and you're such a good role model, Mary Pat. I
trying
love
every
you.
day.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you all for listening. I look forward to seeing you very soon when I'm in Chicago or in Naples or in Dallas. And everybody have namaste. Thank you for being here. My love to you.
Sleep well.
Yes, sleep well for sure.